and the partnership with Vaseo. You're there on a day-to-day basis.
Day-to-day, nights too.
Nights too. Just share for a couple minutes your perspective of the blessing. See, most of these, if not all of these folks in this audience, what you need to know is that even though these are the few people who have been to Tanzania so far, it's the funds from these folks that are allowing those wells to be drilled for those villages in Tanzania. So words cannot express our gratitude to each and every one of you who have sown in to this project of Hearts and Hands. I've told you that the trips to Cancun are fun, the trips to the Bahamas are nice, we're going to Greece and it's going to be fun to go to Santorini and Athens. But the most significant trip you'll take in the world of Vaseo is to Tanzania with Verlin. And I'll tell you also, I got to say this about Verlin. He was there on that trip. Come here by me, Verlin, for a second. You all know this story. Some of you don't. I'm going to tell you. Mark told you a little bit this morning. But how we met Verlin, listen. When I found out about Hearts and Hands, I said I need to find out who the owner, who started it. And it's Connie and Verlin Harris. Invited them over to our home. Carrie, come and stand by me. There's a speaker. Found out that Verlin grew up in Idaho, same place I did. And I said, Harris, where in Idaho? Sugar City. Wow, 3 miles from my hometown. God has a plan. Told you. I mean, when we were starting this company, I said, we're going to do something for his children. And this is the spiritual part. And this is where we have to have faith and get on our knees and say, God, what do you want us to do this time? Because we're willing. We are here. We want to answer the call. And that's when I said, this time it's going to be about our hearts and hands. And Daniel looked it up and realized it's already taken. That's the last thought I had. Thank goodness that, Daniel went to the meeting and Mark Hewlett happened to meet Alan up in the mountains of Utah and invited him to a meeting. These thin threads of life. Sometimes in the confusion and noise, it's hard to see God's hand. But Alan met Daniel and he said, I'm with an organization called Hearts and Hands for Humanity. And Daniel said, we just looked at your website. It's blue and white. You got 2 hands there, right? Yeah. He called me and I got the goosebumps. The same goosebumps I got while Kimon was speaking today. The same goosebumps I just got a few minutes ago when Dan Williams was talking about tithing in Malachi. And prove me now herewith, if I will not open the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing so great there shall not be room enough to receive it. Prove me now herewith. And so I met I met Verlin and Connie, or Carrie and I did, and found out it's from Sugar City, 3 miles from where I grew up. Sugar City, Idaho. Harris. Wow. You don't know Harold, do you? Why do you ask? He built my home. I remember as a 5-year-old boy out there watching Harold Harris build a home at 665 West Main Street in Rexburg, Idaho. A 6,000 square foot home. I thought it was the Taj Mahal. It raised enough for 10 children and a mom and dad. It was
He
a
drove
home.
Harold nuts.
And I drove Harold nuts.
Hanging him on a nail after he followed him around asking him 50,000 million questions.
I was inquisitive back then too. He said, Harold's my brother. Just a week earlier, it's spun about our hearts and hands. That leads to Alan, that leads to Verlin and Connie. That leads him to our home to find out his brother built not a house, but a home. So I got the goosebumps, said this is what we're gonna do. And I'll tell you, Verlin and Connie, to go over there to Africa and to see Verlin with his magic wand. Here, Dallin, I'm going to show you where the water is. Really? Really? That's it? It's the wand. It's right here, and he draws the X in the ground. It's down there somewhere between 120 and 150 feet. It's fresh water, unlike that water they're getting that's 15 or 20 feet deep right now that they're drinking, where 2,000 children die every day in Africa because of waterborne diseases. We're going to drill deep. We need to drill deep in our lives to find the pure water. And that's what we're doing. So I had a greater appreciation for Verlin. He understands what he's doing. And I see how the villagers respect him. They love this man. They love this woman. because they're bringing the most basic of human need to their country, to these villages where these children have nothing. I'm telling you, I don't know if I've shared this with you, Verlin, but at that school where we were drilling the well and we gave the backpacks, you'll see it on the video, I went off by my side and I just said, God, look at these children. Thank you for allowing us to be here. Here's what he said to me. In my mind and in my heart, he said, I love these children. I'm protecting them. See, it's perspective. It's like we sometimes think, wow, these poor children, maybe we're the poor ones. They're not dealing with a lot of this stuff that you see as you walk down the strip of Las Vegas. I'm protecting these children. They're in the palm of my hand. They're right where I want them. We don't need to take them out of there. They just needed water. Wow, I had a different perspective. But to see the love that Verlin has for these children, and the love that the children have for Verlin and Alan, and the good work that we're doing over there. Told you, our dream was to build a legacy company, something that will outlive us. And it came to me, and like Daniel said yesterday, guess what, folks? Vaseo already is. Because I know that long after my days are gone, that water is still going to be pumped out of those wells. Month after month, year after year. And as long as they're maintained decade after decade, you will not number those 60,000 children among the 2,000 who are dying every day in Africa from waterborne diseases because people stood up and said, not on our watch. It is we the people, and we're going to make the difference. And we are. And now here we are, 18 months since the grand opening. We've raised money for 40 plus wells. We have finished 36 of them. It's time we bring on another drill team. Let's redouble our efforts. I mean, look, do we want to drill hundreds of wells over in Africa? Okay, let's go do something significant. Bertha, are we making a difference in your country? Are we making a difference in your country?
Yes, we are.
Are the children loving the water?
They are loving the water a lot. And it's not just the children, it's the parents and the children.
The parents are drinking the water?
The parents are drinking the water. I'll tell you a story. Out of the 36 wells that we have, one of them that has a plaque on it that says Vaseo Diamonds Well, it's plaque number 14. So we were there in July with Alan's family and another group of people that came last year. And an elderly guy, he walks to me and he says, last year, I lost one of my children and he died of a waterborne disease. He says, the rest of my children I have sent to the city because he believes there, where they use municipal water, that water is cleaner than it is out in the rural areas. So he walks up to me and he asks me, funny thing is, in Africa, they call me the lady from Vaseo, and when I'm here, they call me the lady from Africa. So he walks up to me and he goes, lady from Vaseo, where is Vaseo from? And I tell him it's from America. And he goes really emotional and he says, you know what, I have relatives in the city that could help us solve this water problem. But I think it's so touching that people that are miles away that haven't really experienced this life are the people that are touched by their hearts and have extended their hands into helping us solve this problem. And so he expresses to me how much he is willing to send these kids back from the city back home because now he knows his children will have safer water and clean water. And just to top it up, one of the boys on our drill team, he says, I have 2 children, but I think Vaseo is telling me to have 3 more children because once they are born, they'll have safe water. So you see, these are the kind of stories that we get from people, and I carry with me a message of love, a message of appreciation, and they are very thankful as much as I am, of course.
Thank you, Bertha. Alan, Verlin, I'd like Verlin to take a minute or two, and he and Connie, and just share any thoughts you'd like to share with the group today.
Thank you, Dallin. this last trip that we took was particularly challenging. We were there about a week, and I got a phone call from a sister of mine that said Harold's son had just been killed. I was conflicted. We had 13 people with us. We knew a big responsibility that was on our shoulders because of that which you have given to us. It was a particular challenging time. We went through it. We're now happy that we had done it. I know that Dallin, when he heard about it and he knew, he sent